coronavirus. Joining us on the other end of the live line this afternoon is Dave Dulio, Professor of Political Science Department and Director of the Center for Civic Engagement at Oakland University. Hey, Dave, thanks for joining us today.
It's my pleasure, Jason. Good to talk to you.
National convention's behind us now. We have 2 months ahead of us when it comes to vigorous campaigning against, two very distinct candidates here. The Democrats and the Republicans have two different mindsets, of course, but we're under different safety and social protocols. I don't want to really talk politics per se. When I want to pick your brain, though, on what you're imagining over the next 2 weeks, how is this going to play out, campaigning nationally for the presidency?
Well, it's a great question. As we hit I'll call it the traditional campaign period for President of the United States. When we get to post-convention, right around Labor Day, that's when the campaign really begins in earnest. And we're going to see things that are both familiar and things that are a lot different because of COVID. The familiar things, I'm sorry to tell the listeners, are all those TV ads that are going to start to and have already actually been bombarding our televisions, and more digital ads. What we're going to see less of is obviously rallies, gatherings, all those other in-person events that we also really associate with campaigning, even though these days it's really fought out on the airwaves and on computer screens.
You mentioned the gatherings, you mentioned the computer screens, and the two parties are doing those things, but separately, correct? We've got the Republicans, like last night, a large portion of the speech saw a lot of people on the front lawn of the White House, whereas the Democrats were doing the virtual thing. Do you really see that happening in Michigan? Are you going to see the crowds gathering for President Trump? We were speaking in the newsroom earlier today. That's pretty much how he's going to rally the troops, correct? But at the same time, rules are rules, no?
That's right. And I think, there's no doubt that the president really, I think, relishes the opportunity to get in front of a big crowd, whether it be in an indoor arena or at an amphitheater, maybe at Freedom Hill out in Macomb County. But it remains to be seen whether that's going to be permissible or not. And in fact, as they have done for the last several months, the president and the governor seem to have sparred on that. Maybe it's been several weeks or a month or so ago now, where she said that it's in conflict with the rules that are set up in Michigan right now. So that could come to a political head over not just Trump but Governor Whitmer, as well as the rules that are set up here in Michigan.
You're a political guy. I want to see, I want to get your take. 2 conventions behind us now. I want to see who came out ahead. From your expertise, you've covered this a lot of years. Presentation-wise, I guess, who pulled it off better?
Well, I think that both candidates and both parties can point to things that were successful in their conventions. I think that, it'll be interesting to see if we start to see some polling data roll out post-conventions. I saw some today that showed Trump had gained on Biden here in Michigan by several points, pulling up to certainly within the margin of error. So I think you're going to see the race continue to tighten, and it's whether we can attribute that to a convention bounce or not, I think is that might be stretching it a little bit, just because, for my money, the conventions are all about the base. There are few persuadable voters that watch those things.
In person or virtually, campaign season is really starting in earnest here. He's Dave Dulio, Professor of Political Science Department and Director of the Center for Civic Engagement at Oakland University. Dave, thanks again.
My pleasure. Good to talk to you.